They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
Alright guys, very sorry that I have not gotten y'all a waiver wire video in a while. We've just had other things to talk about, like the playoff schedule coming out. So obviously that's something that I'm going to have to dive into. But what I need from y'all is I need you to go down to the comment section and let me know what videos y'all want to see. I know that we had some people saying that they enjoyed the playoff avoid video where we went through and looked at the playoff schedules from the teams that we didn't like, saying to sell these certain players if you get the opportunity. Would y'all like if I did that with the playoff schedules that look appealing, where we go, hey, maybe you should go out and buy player X, Y, and Z for reasons X, Y, and Z? So let me know down in the comment section below. Obviously, that's going to be the #1 way you can do it if you did not attend the premiere. Obviously, if you're watching the premiere right now with myself in the live chat, that's the easiest way you can talk to me. If y'all have not already subscribed to the channel, we are so close to 3,000. But more importantly, if you want to come out to those premieres, if you want to talk with me, talk trades, talk waiver wire, talk really anything, make sure you are hitting the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you can come out and hang out in that live chat as soon as the video is uploaded. But that is it. Let's dive into about 4 or 5 players that I think we need to be prioritizing adding in our fantasy basketball leagues. And the first player that we are going to be talking about is going to be a 21-year-old who was just selected with the 2nd overall pick in his NBA draft. And this is going to be Marvin Bagley. Okay, so with Marvin Bagley, I know he's not going to be available in every single league. At the time of this recording, he's only available in about 46% of leagues. I'm going to make the cutoff here. If you're owned in 60% of leagues or more, then we're not going to talk about you. And I think how we are going to do the video is I go through and I talk about the players for the shallow formats and then slowly go deeper and deeper and deeper. That way I can try to cover everybody and give them some help. But with Marvin Bagley, I know that he has looked like a massive disappointment. I mean, if you just look at the list of players that he was drafted before, I mean, the Kings fan base should be irate that Marvin Bagley was taken with the 2nd overall pick, especially if you go through with all the drama that's happened on the team so far this season. But over his past 5 games, Marvin Bagley has been really producing. I mean, he's playing less than 30 minutes a game. He's hovering at about 28 minutes a game. But it doesn't matter. I mean, he has came out and he has looked every part of an offensive playmaker, where he is averaging 18 points a game. And I know that's not going to pop off the page. And you're saying, Mason, what are you talking about? That he looks like an offensive playmaker only with 18 points. But guys, please understand, this is a player that's 21 years old. And when you're only playing 28 minutes a game, that's going to be significant production for that time period, especially if we add in a few other things. And the few other things that we have to add to this context is the fact that Marvin Bagley is currently shooting 55% from the field, but most importantly, he is shooting the ball from behind the arc. He is shooting about 3 threes a game, and right now, none of them are going in. But what's more important is the fact that he is taking those shots. We know over a small sample, it's going to be very hard to say that he definitely can't make it or he definitely can. So if he continues to shoot the ball, I think what we are going to see is we are going to see just the overall 3-point percentage kind of level out around the low 30 percentile part, and that will be completely fine for Marvin Bagley. If he can just go out there and make 1 3-point shot a game, I think Marvin Bagley looks like a player that if he can finally mesh with the other guys in Sacramento, if we can get those minutes up to 33, 34, he could be an impact player for you down the stretch. We know the Kings are pretty much going all in to make the playoffs this season. So yeah, I think Marvin Bagley is someone that if for whatever reason he's available in your league, you definitely need to go out there and try to add him. All right, so now let's keep it with the trend of going with the younger players. Let's go here with Sadiq Bay, 21 years old. We know that he was taken with the 19th overall pick in this last draft. Sadiq Bay, very similar to Marvin Bagley, is going to be more so available in the shallow formats, not necessarily in those extremely deep formats Well, right now he's owned in about 45% of leagues, so he's going to be available in over half of them. But if we look at his last 10 games, Sadiq Bay has completely changed how many minutes he is getting in this rotation. And it makes sense for this Pistons roster where we know that they desperately need to find someone that can generate just any type of productive play for their basketball team, as they are the worst team in the NBA. If you want to say that Karl Anthony Towns can turn around the Minnesota Timberwolves, which generally I would to say that's going to be in the case. But in the past 10 games, Sadiq Bay's 32 minutes a game has led for him to have 13 points, a steal and a half, an assist and a half, and 5.5 rebounds. So yes, these numbers aren't necessarily massive, but I think Sadiq Bay could be a sneaky candidate to possibly get pushed up to 34, 35 minutes per game. And if the field goal percentage sees a slight bump up, I think down the stretch, if they are wanting to make sure that they can develop some young talent, Sadiq Bay could be an intriguing guy if he is able to put more shots up. All right, so now our next player is not going to be as exciting as a Marvin Bagley or a Sadiq Bay, but this is going to be Kendrick Nunn, who is rostered in 57% of leagues. He's available in 57% of leagues. And another player that is a lot younger than I initially thought. He was in that 2018 NBA draft. He's 25 years old. And over the past 10 games, very similar to Sadiq Bay, Kendrick Nunn has had a ridiculous amount of minutes in the rotation for the Miami Heat. And we know the Heat have so many different things going on in that rotation, so many different injuries, and they are a team that is heavily rumored in trade discussions with pretty much every other available player in the entire NBA. But if we are just looking at what Kendrick Nunn has been doing as of late, I mean, right there with a lot of players that you currently have on your roster in 16.5 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. But more importantly, we know that, yes, the players that are going to be getting looked at are the guys putting up points, rebounds, and assists. But what you need to make yourself a little bit different is you need to be averaging some stats on the defensive end, which we actually have with Kendrick Nunn, who is averaging both a block and a steal per game. So another player that I think we should be going out there and seeing if we can pick up at the back end of our roster, even if he's not going to be a long-term impact guy. All right, so now our next player is going to be a little bit more boring. I'll say that definitely. It's going to be Derrick Jones Jr. Right now, rostered in 29% of leagues. He's 24 years old, playing for the Blazers. And I know his stats as of late don't necessarily look fantastic. But the thing here is there are just going to be so many minutes available in this rotation where both Nurkic and Collins are out for the foreseeable future. I believe they're both out until March. So with Derrick Jones Jr., you're not going to be picking him up with the same type of aggression as a Marvin Bagley, just because we know that, yes, Marvin Bagley can be a player that can go out there and help you in the fantasy basketball playoffs. He can make an impact and push you over the edge. Derrick Jones Jr., he's going to be a little bit more of a Band-Aid, just going, okay, if I have some players missing due to COVID, if I have some players that are not necessarily projecting to see the amount of minutes I want in their respective rotations for the next week or so, that's where you can pick Derrick Jones Jr. up and you can just have him on your roster for a little bit until that production and those minutes go away. All right, so now talking about long-term plays, talking about someone that I think can actually help you possibly for the fantasy basketball playoffs, let's talk about Josh Hart. And I understand a lot of people are going to go, Mason, what are you talking about? And here, pretty much, this is all speculation that I think Lonzo Ball is going to get traded. I mean, Lonzo is such a poor fit on this Pelicans roster that I think he is most likely going to be moved before the deadline. And what's really nice about picking up Josh Hart is if you pick him up right now at the end of your roster, and we know he's available in most leagues, and then we get to the NBA trade deadline and Lonzo Ball is not traded, well then, it doesn't matter. Go back out there and drop Josh Hart and get the next waiver wire player. But if you pick him up now and then Lonzo is traded, just say a week from now, Josh Hart is someone that I think could be skyrocketing in fantasy rankings, as he would be having a significantly higher usage rate, because it's not like Zion and Brandon Ingram would be doing everything on that team. I think Josh Hart would occasionally, at least the very minimum, be touching the ball on, I want to say, just say 10% of the team's possessions. But points would go up at the same time, and we know that he is a decent player with his production in terms of his rebounds per minute. So yeah, Josh Hart, if Lonzo's traded, he's going to be touching the ball more, and the minutes and rebounds should go up. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton, and I will see y'all with the video tomorrow.